to what's going to be another great DevNTell. If you didn't know what DevNTell is a 30-minute window for members of the DAO to showcase something they're passionate about or have been working on. It's going to be an awesome project you've been working on, demonstrating unit testing best practices, automation goodies, smart contracts, how to structure a project, etc. Basically, if you've got a passion for something, this is your opportunity to share it with the community. And today I'm happy to introduce to you Giancarlo, who will be showing us his project, Dappify. Take it away, Giancarlo.
Hey guys, thank you, Narv. Super appreciated. Thank you for having me here. Thanks everyone for just dedicating a little bit of your Friday to come along. So I want to take the most of this and show you what I've been building on or working on. Everything I'm going to show you here, or the presentation I'm about to show you, it's half demo, half just going through data and trying to figure out problems and how to solve them through the prototype at the end. And we're going to dive into the technical aspect on the second half. I would advise, if you have any question as I go along, don't leave it for the end. Just ask me in the moment, so it's easier to track. And what I can do is just do it offline later on. So yeah, feel free to interrupt me if you have any question. So what I'm going to present you today is Dappify and Build3r, and I'm going to go through it as we go. My name is Giancarlo Sanchez. I'm a software developer from Venezuela. I'm currently living in Dublin, Ireland since 2014. I'm a co-founder of Dappify. So one of the problems that I want, or the problems I want to showcase today, is how critical are developers for the whole technological ecosystem, right? There's two problems that I can see that exist today, and they're not only for the Web3 subsegment, but it's just all across, right? So software is needed everywhere, and it's very slow to build. You need developers, you need a lot of manpower, and basically that's how all the software and technology gets built today. The second one is there's limited engineering resources, and that makes coding, the ability to code, a universal bottleneck for creating new software, creating new solutions to problems through coding. And yeah, that's where we stand today. So I'm just gonna run here through data, guys, for the next 10 minutes. These are data that don't take it with a grain of salt. I got it from different places, and it may not be super accurate. But what I want to give here is a sense of direction of where the status quo is. So this is, for example, the Web3 developer supply. I was super amazed to know that up until by the end of 2021, there were only around 20,000 developers that were focused on Web3. And if you dive deeper into the data, the full-time developers on Web3 is even smaller. So if you put that into perspective on what we have today, let's compare to the developers that we have on Web3 versus the traditional developers that exist today all over the world, versus the total world population. And you're going to understand why I'm doing this weird comparison later on as we go. So we have around 25,000 because, take into consideration that the last data was by the end of the last year. Let's just assume that we have a little bit more now. This could be, somewhere in the range. So let's say that's 1x, but we have 25 million developers all over the world, which is 1,000x from what we have on Web3. And then the total world population, 8 billion people, which is a lot more than that. I'm going to share these at the end, the presentation, so you can figure out the links I put below to refer to where I'm getting the data from. Again, it may sound crazy, and if you don't agree, let me know. But this is just to understand the direction. Out of those developers, the 25 developers that we set for Web 2 or the traditional web, most of them are in China, India, Europe, and the US. There's a bit also in Latin America. But if you wanted to extrapolate that, because I didn't get to find the data, for Web3 developers, if we manage to allocate the same number of developers as we have in Web 2 per region, this will be something like this. You have about 7,000 developers in China, all the way to 120 developers in Australia. They could probably just create a DAO for the whole country, and they just talk to each other in a meetup. So it's incredible. But so let's figure out now what we build and what exists today. So I think one of the most amazing metrics that I found is there's 100 million active websites today, and there's 250,000 websites created every day. there's 130 million public repos on GitHub. 3 million apps on Google Play Store, 2 million apps on the App Store, and so on. So there's millions of contribution, a lot more contribution than developers there are. So that's what kind of I want to get to. In Web3, then these may be skew numbers, very difficult to get. I didn't dive deep too much here, but kind of you end up having around 170 to 200 repositories for blockchain, Web3. The most used language is JavaScript for probably good reasons. And yeah, that's basically it. And if you compare now, what's the ecosystem and what's the contribution ratio per dev. Let's say we have 25 million developers, traditional developers, 336 million artifacts. So that gives a little bit of like every developer contributes to 13.4 artifacts in their lifetime. Compared to Web3, you have 25,000 developers, 172. So that's 6.88. Again, this may be totally skewed, guys. Just directional. And weird hypothesis I can get here, well, among everything, there's two that pop up in my mind. The first one is, well, Web3, lack of maturity around standardization and the reinvention of the wheel, right? Like, it's a very new space. It's we're building something from scratch. It's just a nascent space. And we need time to mature. And we're going in the right direction, right? But we're not there yet, at least compared to Web2. And Web2 maturity around low-code and no-code solutions that empower citizen development. So it's not only developers that are building the Web2, it's also people that don't know how to code that they're also building it. So that gives a lot of power. So out of these artifact per dev ratio, there's a lot that comes from citizen development. And you remember the 200 million that I said about websites? Well, I'm gonna go and show you that after. But then we have that opportunity. So that no-code and low-code offers a faster and cheaper alternative that lets more people build better software. That's a premise that I'm trying to validate, basically. And lessons learned that we have from Web2 is, well, believe it or not, like some weird statistics here, like you can check it there. Like, businesses spend $3.61 per line of code. Low code and no code tools have a potential to reduce up until 90% the time it takes to dev. And actually, the last one is probably my favorite, 73 million, which is around 30% of all the websites are built using no code tools. So that means that in here you can see kind of WordPress taking the lead, like with 41% of the market. So most of that 33% of websites that exist today are created with WordPress, followed by Wix and Squarespace. So kind of the biggest jump. But what are the challenges that there are today? Like, why is not everyone just using no code and low code? There is adoption, and adoption is growing, but there's still doubts, right? Like, for example, 37% of people don't understand how to use no-code solutions or low-code solutions. They just stay away from there because they say, well, I don't have time to learn this. Others, a big group is concerned to just, well, if I'm going to be developing in this platform with low-code, no-code, then I'm going to be stuck to this vendor. What if I want to move, later? And that's flexibility that is needed there. Others question the flexibility that what you can build with these kind of things. Others concerned about the scalability and also the security, right? So what's the holy grail for a no-code, low-code solution? How does it look that perfect? So it needs to be intuitive based on what we learn. It needs to be not only intuitive, it needs to be easy to use. It needs to be, probably this is more for most of the user-facing software, any front end probably needs to be like this, right? Then portability. Like, if you're going to be using a tool, the moment that you don't like that tool anymore, you should be able to port it outside. Use another stack, use another technology, and just have a simple migration and not be vendor locked. The flexibility. Like, if you're going to use a no-code tool, for example, if you only use for a single case, then the adoption rate is going to be very, very small. Like, you need to have a lot of flexibility. Scalability and security. I think that's those two, everywhere, and with a good reason, like if you want to support a big population. So this is where I'm going to start then presenting you the solution and the prototype that I'm trying to aim to get to that. So brace yourself that we're going sci-fi, and everything you're going to hear here is going to be super crazy. So what's the vision? So our vision here is to create an ecosystem to support 1 billion builders. So yeah, it's not 25 million developers, it's not 25,000 developers, it's a billion builders. So I told you we were going sci-fi. But so how are we going to do this? Like, what is the strategy, right? I think that when we start thinking about this, a decentralized model would be something that could empower something at this scale. And the way that we're thinking about it, I'm going to show you here kind of what's in the vision, right? So let's start from the user. People use tools, they use websites, they use applications. And these applications, then the way that we think of building them is from templates. So you can get something that is very similar to what we're trying to build, just edit it and then launch what you need it to build. Could be a website, an application, right? And these templates then are built from modules. And these modules can be created on any language. And once they're implemented, they can be they're interoperable, so they can talk to each other. They can add context to each other. So one model, for example, can add context about pricing for another, or give context about data or an API for another. So you can have that power to composability. There's no point of having composability if everything is isolated. So that's one of the problems, for example, with current applications or current approaches like micro frontends, for example. And the way that we wanna do this here, so let's have developers create interoperable modules that the way that they communicate each other is validated on chain and validated by curators. And then these modules can be packaged into templates. You can create templates for any use case, any styling, any layout, any modules by citizen developers. These people that want to create their own things or not, and validated by curators also. And then these templates then can be launched as applications, and then users can activate. So it's a two-way door in which the contribution goes to the left in here. You have developers and citizens creating content, and then having users use them, and that revenue that gets generated be distributed back to all the contributors along the way, the curators, the citizens developers, and the software developers, right? The validation on the modules, like I mentioned, it can be on-chain. I'm going to explain a little bit how this interoperability works later on today. But yeah, so how do we try to fit the Holy Grail in our prototype? So how intuitive? Well, let's use a drag and drop builder. So people don't need to code, people just minimal configuration, they can just drag and drop. Portability. Well, if they build something, let's just have it exported. Let's just export whatever they have, and they can continue that on their own. They don't need to be vendor locked to the platform. How it's flexible? How can we create more use cases? Well, the community will do it, right? If we have developers creating modules and we have community creating templates, then it's the same community that is creating the content that other users are going to consume from. How you manage scalability? Well, if you have granular enough modules, it can be achievable from the point of view of building. And a DAO structure can help with the part of the curation, the distribution, the validation, which is going to be an important part to keep on the security, to keep on the quality of the content that gets through. And the security, on-chain verification could be a good start. I'm gonna tell you later how to get there. So, what is Build3r, or the prototype that I'm trying to work on? So Build3r is a multi-purpose web app builder platform with composable modules like Legos, in which people can just drag and drop components to the canvas, and these modules can talk to each other. So in here you have a link to our ETH Global Showcase with Build3r. So there's a lot of more information there, guys. If you want to see the source code, if you want to see the the videos, the kind of the goals, it's all there. So let me give you a demo time here and tell you how this works. Okay, let me 1 second here. Okay, so this is the drag and drop builder, as you see. So there's a few components that I built for the prototype here. These are all components for Web3 because I want to showcase the power of the Web3 modularity here. So let's say, for example, we're gonna build a use case in which we're gonna create an application that a person can log in using their wallet. They can call a smart contract, and they can see data from another smart contract. And they can talk to me, Decentralized, because I'm the admin of the website, right? So the first thing we can do is just get the Connect wallet here. So here, basically, you see that it adds a button. In the button, there is configurations. In this case, we're using Morales to give the context. And then we're going to inject the smart contract UI. This is already pre-made. And the way it works basically is you can set up here on this component the contract address, the ABI, and from that ABI, what's the method that you want to have access to. So it will render what are the attributes that you need to fill in, just put a button. This component will leverage the signer and the provider injected by the other component from the wallet. And this component doesn't know anything about that. So, okay, now that we can mint stuff, right? So let's now add a way to visualize again. So we're gonna add a chart. So this is powered by chart.js. And in the back, it's using a subgraph from dgraph. So we can just specify the API. We can specify the query. You can specify from the response where we're going to get the data. Specify also the title. And on the X and Y labels from the response, what are going to be the keys that we're going to be using to render this. So basically, it's calling this subgraph and just rendering this data from this. Now, if you see here, for example, you see that the pricing here that we have on the left side, it's just native tokens. It's a native token denomination. So it's really not readable. Let's do something about it. So we're going to import this price context from Covalent. And the way it works, or it should work, is, that price context now adds and displays in USD. So you see now it's 1.4 thousand. Again, these components don't know about each other. They just are injecting and emitting events, and the other components are wired to listen to those events, and then they react to that. For the last time, so now we have a way to just interacting with a smart contract to mint an NFT, and then we have the pricing of the latest options for that NFT. And then I have another one and just add a chat support so that our users can talk to us, right? This is similar. I don't know if you've seen the intercom widget. Let me just sign into MetaMask. Give me 1 second. Let me take a second. There you go. Okay, so the last step here is, so we have our own application, so it's getting me to MetaMask again to sign. Okay. So the last part of this is just launch it. So let's just launch that to IPFS. Actually, let me authenticate again. By the way, I'm using Magic Link from an email to have a Web3 authentication. It's pretty cool. I like it. It's simple for users to get. So now we have our hash or site live in IPFS. And then you'll see here is a full app already, using the context from each other, from each other component. So that's how interoperability and composability, because you can use modules that they don't know about the other modules are going to be there, but they can enhance via event system. And then you can have builders build anything that you want from very, very granular and agnostic components. So for example, let me give you an example from XMTP. In here, there's a chat with XMTP in which a user can come in, open the website, and then they can talk to me because I put myself as the address for the administrator. And this uses XMTP in the background. This is kind of similar to the intercom widget, like I mentioned. So in here, let's just connect my wallet. And in here, let's just use our address. Again, I'm probably not going to show the full thing here. Fee numerator is how much percentage I want to get from NFT. Nothing. I'm just going to use this for now as metadata. And then I'm going to be prompted here for MetaMask. Then I'm going to make it so that it's faster. So I'm doing this currently on Polygon. And let me see. No, I'm doing it here, so it's not going to work. me just go to Matic minutes and do it there. Yeah. So yeah, that's I already submitted the request. So let me see how this. Okay, so it's already confirmed. So we can check in the Explorer, for example, that NFT that we just minted. 1 second. Should be there. So. Hold on, my bad. I could be using the wrong network. Okay, so that's basically sending the transaction. What I wanted just to showcase is the ability to add context. So each component can enhance other components' ability, and you can create more than just one use case kind of thing, and just go beyond that and cater for multiple use cases, which you don't need to know how to code. So at the moment, we're still pending for the blockchain explorer. So we can go. Actually, no, it's already done. So yeah, that's our transactions 26 seconds ago. The ERC721 token, which is already under me. So that's a way in which, simple application, simple use case on composability. So how does it work? So these are the composable interoperable modules. So this is the canvas where you can drag and drop stuff. But each of these modules is a wrapper of HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and vendor-specific logic. You can do here any custom logic from JavaScript, doing it in React. You can do it in whatever module you want, as long as you export it as an ECMA module. For example, the wallet connect is connects to MetaMask. There's other that connect to other. Now each module has a specific namespace, and this namespace gets validated on chain, so that whenever someone submits, these modules to enter the platform to be usable, they need to be on chain. The definition of what's their namespace and what the events that they send and the events that they can receive. And then that validation, at the moment it's not built in the prototype, but that's the vision. And then each event can emit, or each module can emit events and listen to events that are on-chain validated to support this. And that's how you basically enable composability with certain level of security. Right, there's security on the front end that needs to be implemented and working on that, but step by step. This is super early prototype. So a little bit how it works here. So usually modules, you have a wallet connect that is using Morales. Inside has JavaScript, CSS, HTML, a smart contract UI, which is just Ether.js and JavaScript. Yeah, the chart that you saw is chart.js, and it's also leveraging the graph, and basically calling the API to extract data and map it to a chart. For the price context, it's using Covalent. So whenever Covalent gets the number, emits an event, everyone that is listening to a pricing event then will change and do the calculation on their side. An NFT search that I didn't get to expose here, and like XMTP, which at the moment I had to do it as an iframe because it was one of the most difficult components to implement. But it's adding value, even though it doesn't share context with other because it's an iframe. It adds value to the use case because you can chat with the admin. So it provides composability. For the builder and packager, I'm using Grape.js, which is kind of a drag and drop builder, an open source drag and drop builder used for many projects. It's super modular, guys. Like everything that you see in Grape.js, which is from the top bar of buttons to the components that you display on the right, the blocks, everything is just super modular. They have a kind of an API and a library for that. And then on the publisher side, I'm just publishing to IPFS and using Morales to track users. To give you a little bit of how this works, you can see the source code. In the source code, you can go to JankSP Builder. Again, you can go to, I'll send you the presentation and everything. But a module will be something like kind of the wallet auth that you saw here. It's just a plugin. that receives the editor context, and then you define a block with the HTML, kind of how it's going to be displayed on the builder. What's going to be the name that you see on the cube, and what category it's going to display. You're going to have a type of properties that you can configure from the no-code part, like in this case, server URL and app ID. You have a script, which in here you can do all the custom logic that you need to do. And that's basically it. Now, this is kind of the super minimal example if you want to involve React, if you want to do Vue.js, a little bit more complex, but the solution at the end is the same. And yeah, so that was everything that I have today. And as a memento for everyone just being here and being so cool, I prepared something for you guys. I created this pop-up. It's called Dappify DevNTell at Developer DAO. We're trying to build this community of developers and citizen developers that will create all this. And so we need to start building that community and getting everyone excited about this. So it's something that we want to share with you. You can see it in this gallery. And an easy way to come in here, because I just minted 150 tokens of this, but the way I minted it is they gave me the URLs, so I need to distribute one by one. So I need to do better pop-ups. But an easy way for you is just come over to our Discord and go to the giveaway channel and just click on the event or on the thread for DevNTell, and I'll as soon as I have you all, I'm just going to distribute from the set of URLs that I have. So yeah, I don't know if you have any questions.
Giancarlo, that was amazing, man. So you basically launched a dApp with drag and drop in like 2-3 minutes. If if what I saw wasn't magic, so that's really awesome. How long have you been working on this before you got it to prototype level?
So look, I was a software developer in Amazon until end of May, and then I decided to just move to this space. So
Nice.
June and July, basically, I built this prototype for HackFS. So it took me around the last 3 to 4 weeks, because HackFS finished last week.
Ah, gotcha. So this is pretty fresh. That's awesome,
Yeah.
man. Yeah, well done.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
I guess one last question from me before I open it to the crowd. Um, since it's an early prototype mode and you're in developer DAO, is there a particular set of skill set that you need from folks here if they're interested in helping you building out? And how would people get started if they want to contribute?
Yeah, look, guys, I would be super honored. If you get to kind of look at the code, is good. It's gonna scare you guys. Like it's not clean. It doesn't have much tests. So I'm gonna work on that. So the best way, I would say, I'm gonna keep in touch. You can join our community here on our Discord, and I'm gonna be doing these kind of events, trying to get what I build, showcase it, try to get your opinions, try to get some people to at the moment there's no clear structure for that.
Gotcha. So just jump right on in. So that's awesome, man. Any questions from the crowd here?
I was just curious about versioning. What happens when the program changes? Like how do you keep track of
So
everything?
that's a good question. I haven't thought that far. I think we could implement versioning through IPNS, like every module or every application. For the application itself, we can use IPNS. For the versioning inside, well, we can implement some kind of NFT, in which each module becomes an NFT. That gives also the ability so that if you want to sell your module, so other people start getting revenue from it, like is the NFT that commands that, right? And on the metadata part, we could use a version system in which the owner of that NFT can add new metadata and update it. So still figuring out how is that going to work, to be honest.
That's interesting. Having an NFT possibly as a way to sell your code. That's interesting. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome question. Anyone else in the crowd? I have a question for Giancarlo.
I was curious about there. I saw a part in the slide about curating the modules. So is that like community curated, and how exactly would that be facilitated?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, you're right. So in the curation part, so what happens here is one thing that we know is whenever someone is submitting a module or whenever someone is creating a template, there needs to be some kind of verification that that template doesn't have any, or that module doesn't have any, vicious code inside. It needs to be kind of open source validated. The best way of doing this is through a DAO, in which everyone is incentivized to just take part on it, make sure that things get filtered the right way, to support people that are having troubles uploading, and so on. And if you want to make it scale so that 1 billion builders get in this, there needs to be a decentralized way to do that. So that's why I'm leaning towards Web3 as a solution, as the only solution for this, if you want to do it this way.
Nice. Thanks.
Okay, we got time for one more question here.
Great job, man. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you very much, guys. I'm super thrilled, super excited to be presenting this to you. I'm super privileged, to be honest.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming on. This was a wonderful presentation, and like I said, that was awesome. We launched a dApp in like 2-3 minutes, drag and drop. Sick. Yeah, and with that, I want to wish everybody a very happy Friday, happy weekend, and today's DevNTell POAPs will be driven through Giancarlo's POAPs because they look much nicer than the ones I created. So be on the lookout for how to claim those. Giancarlo, are you going to post them in the chat here? Yes, he has posted it in the chat here in the developer's voice. So
yeah, I think it's simpler. It's simpler if you join the channel and go to the giveaway. If you don't want to join for one reason or another, just DM me and I'll send you a link. So I have 150 links, so it should be more than enough.
Excellent. Sounds like a plan. And with that, we will catch you all here next week. All right. All the best, gang.
Amazing. Thank you, Nar, for having me. Thanks, everyone.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks, gang.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Thank you, guys.